Big round of applause to the person we are here to root for.
Jamie Xiong Vang 要达到软骨度，作用那种靠的够好呢。
Okay, maybe not go. Okay, so no sure ya. Okay, so on the champ de o cho me short la da no gu to de le to de me peng kyong yi chi po gu da shi no me to an no de gu jong sha hin gu to tsu gu bu me short la de jo gu jong sha ha ta gu nyo de le ho me chang kan gu me pu ha ta gu ya me tu chai lai tu mo mong sha jo lại của họ mấy bố ta cũng mấy tu sai mong là mấy tu mỏ mong mấy nó mấy to cũng trong xã hình thì mấy số đồ cho to all the friends, family supporters, community leaders and supporters here tonight. Thank you very much. So mấy tên nó cũng bé bố tôi ha inu nó đó chỉ cũng hát cho mấy chuyện gì à. So my name is Xiong Vang. And cô ta tỏ trong nó cô lụt la ô cô lụt chụp chính Fresno ít tuổi judge trong Fresno Superior Court. Lucy nằm ở cặp blog. Để cô lụt cô election để như sai chụp để yếu tố là lụt trâu lên tới vấn đề on nó sẽ à để yếu primary để đi cho chín để là để chỉ cho nó cho cái chỉ cho nó sẽ so như để chụp sai là để là hà nó nói hà Sunday là mấy chuyện tôi còn cô ha ôm mấy trâu. And on the chat ko sang what cho the fundraising committee here in Sacramento. Thank you so much. I know that you all spent many sleepless nights, many late night meetings to make this a wonderful event. It's beautiful. The decorations are beautiful. I'm so impressed with all the work that you all put together in such a short period of time. So thank you so much. To all of the people who donated food, all the people who helped with setting up the tables, putting all the decorations up, all the balloons, just everything's been so beautiful, so thank you. And then before I go further, I do want to bring my husband up here. If he can come, Thế ra mấy cho mấy bố cụ thế mấy tư bố cụ tụi giờ thế chỉ ta mấy chỉ tao bố cụ nó thế ra mấy cụ chỉ tao bố nữa ha, so tao vợ khi mà biết cụ tụi giờ hùa tao vợ bang rồi nè. Là cụ thế làm cho vợ. This is the man, the power, the everything that's behind me. So I am who I am because of this man. Thank you. So I'm going to ask him he doesn't like to be up here with me, but I'm going to make him stay up here with me. Because like I said, he's my strength. So thank you. Like I have to mo bang, ku yang mo xiong na si ku mo bang. Để ku on de ku ba vi chang ku hale xiong na ku hale za ji lu ju bo cloud Fresno oi tu cha trong Fresno na. Cú ba mình chỉ su cú cho bé giờ cho họ là mình nhớ đến lết tới giờ mình chỉ bảo cú ta cú giờ linh tư cú trong này cha cú họ nó cú họ lu sợ nó hà tôi thọ mẹ ta mẹ mua nhà cho cú bán cú cái tàu lu trong nó này giờ thì cú ba mình chỉ su cú kiến cú cho mẹ hà để bảo em ở sáng để đó ok rồi tức là nhiều ít nhiều để cho đó là mẹ ở sáng để cho cú thì cú mà cú giờ ít tuần xài món mà thì là mình sẽ lên bảo giờ cú ít tuần xài món cú giờ có món xong. Thì cô giờ tụi cô nãy cô gì ở tụi xài lúa nè, thì bé mua cỏ linh, thì cô ở tụi xài lúa tôiอยู่ที่chờ nó, thôi cô nãy ha cô chỉ ở tụi giống như là mấy tụi chống nó mà giờ ở tụi tôi ở tụi mình thọ nà tôi ở tới chờ lo tôi, thì ở tụi tôi bên này tôi giờ, thì ở tụi tôi chú trong sang chỗ giờ cũng yêu chiều cái sang chỗ chỗ nè, thì trong gì chỗ ý thì ở tụi mày yêu cô. Thì cũng nãy cô ở tụi nhớ thì ở tụi yêu tụi bé có ở lên tới chỉ cũng chú ở tụi nhớ trên đề là cô luôn chú cô tụi giờ trình nhớ tòn để chăng là cô nhớ tụi nhớ cô tới luôn chú nhớ tụi bé cho Xiong cô nhớ cô nãy cô nhớ tụi có bao Xiong sư thì cô nhớ cô tụi giờ nó là thì cô nhớ tao cô nhớ thì nhớ high school thì cô mua ở tụi luôn à. So from a very early because I married young and I had my children young, I know what it's like to work hard. I know what it's like to have a dream, and I know what it's like to persevere and to put everything into raising not only my children, but also working hard to achieve my goals and the dreams that I had for myself and for my family. Because the Guyayona Guyipu had so gay Guyo, Banto Gujetuning, Michia Jetuning, Jamaica Gujetuning Saya, Tohoyo Yao the Uchipachi, but Guyimpu had Yo Guyoga Guna Guidu, Autojitsonye, Haka Guchitsonye, Guyo Jucho Shakando, the Gulo Lola Gujo Shakando. So the okay, I'm gonna work hard because I cannot let the sacrifices we left our home. And so, I so even though I will not sacrifice I will not give up I will never forget the sacrifices that my parents made so that I could be something more, so that I could educate myself, so that I can be a source of good and a source of pride for my family and for the Hmong community. And so that really inspired me to continue to always work hard. So that's just, so that is really what drove me to go to college. And so then as a young woman, and a wife, I thought about where do I want to go to school? And kind of like what, one of the speakers, I think it was Dow, who said, I saw people, people said, well, you're a young woman, you're married, you have 2 children, like why don't you go to Fresno State? Or why don't you go to Fresno City? I spoke to a counselor and I said, hey, I want to be a lawyer. You know what my counselor told me? My counselor said, why don't you become a paralegal? She said, oh yes, how about a lawyer? Come on to paralegal, come on to lawyer too. And I said, no, I want to be a lawyer. And so that, so that's something that I think about every day. Okay. Go halego go yo to counselor. Go halego chokuna, then kuchi or kumarichi joku boshoya, kusik boshoya. Eko by or paralegals. I may not be standing here in front of you today. But again, I thought back, I will not waste the sacrifices that my parents made for me so that I can educate myself. So I said, no. I'm going to go to college. And so then I went to UCLA where I graduated from UCLA with a bachelor's in 2003. And then I went to Whittier Law School also in Southern California. And then came back to Fresno because Fresno is my home. So Fresno. Fresno is my home. That's where my parents were, that's where my in-laws were. And so it's very important for me to come back to Fresno. And when I think about why I want to be a judge, I think about where I came from. I think about the fact that I come from very humble beginnings. Like many of us here, our parents, or all of you, many of you came to the United States because you were fleeing a communist regime. You knew what it was like to live under a place where there was no such thing as the rule of law. So I think about that. That is important to me. We know what it's like to have a place where people are dragged away from their homes in the middle of the night to never return home. That's why our relatives, our grandparents, our aunts, our uncles, that's why they fought for the US CIA military operation during the Vietnam War. Because we wanted something. We understood freedom even then. Even though we understood freedom. We knew what that meant. And that's why we sided with the US during the Vietnam War. And so, those stories that I grew up on, but those are stories that I heard and I grew up on. And so when I hear those stories, it affects me. I feel it in my soul because Hmong, and so I feel it in my soul, and it hurts me just as if I was there. And so those experiences and those understanding the challenges that my parents and my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, understanding those challenges and understanding my own challenges growing up in a very poor Hmong family, those experiences shaped who I am and shaped who I am today and continue to shape me moving forward. And so, so that is really the foundation of who I am, for those of you who don't know. And then, that led me to the kind of career that I have. I have a career that has been grounded in not only perseverance, but also service to the community. I have a deep commitment to justice. For more than 15 years, I worked as an attorney representing individuals, families, seniors, workers, and veterans in California courtrooms, because to ensure that every single person who went through the process, through the legal process, received due process, because that is so important to me. As an attorney, I transitioned from helping people in legal aid and legal services to civil litigation practice, working in this, the judge mentioned earlier, Justice Buckley mentioned earlier, I worked at a very prominent Central Valley law firm, probably the biggest law firm in Fresno County for 5 years, handling very complex civil litigation, lawsuits representing individuals and businesses, from very small lawsuits that were a couple $1,000s to multi-million-dollar lawsuits, including wrongful death claims. And so I worked there for a long time, but there was something missing when I was there. It was the connection with the community. And so that's why I left when I had the opportunity to become an administrative law judge, because that took me back to the community. And again, because the reason why I became an attorney in the first place was because of my commitment to the community, what I wanted to bring back to the community. And so I was able to transition to become an administrative law judge in 2003, where I currently am. So Tashi tawa kaka eguyo longlu tashi nama guya itu administrative law judge nyachohu the state of California. The only hate guyo longlu zona de gu walu chalu ilu liu law firm nyahu Fresno the liu law firm nyahu Fresno the liu lu chang na nyahu Fresno the gu omo tokumu halu chohu lu law firm the zu ge egu bando be jo be sing na ni chojo na the ojo jole ke ole ko ha le me ka jole gu ba o jole that there's something missing. And so again, State Hearings Division. And so that has been really rewarding. I've been there. And so in that experience, I do what a judge already does. That is probably the strongest point that I have, is that I already do what a judge does, because I already am an administrative law judge. I already am a judge. And so every day, I hear cases, I listen to people's stories. I make decisions that I know impact people's lives. And this also is why I'm running for judge, because I have seen that, before I became an administrative law judge, I have seen people go into courtrooms where they're not allowed to say what they want to say. I have seen people go into courtrooms and stop. Experience or men counsel courtroom men husana men to judge okay. To judge na kuis to hailulu, kumo zu sani spoku hailulu. Tashi ni zazi hata tesha huch yochi yang laya. So I know that many of you have walked into a courtroom and they have not allowed you to say anything, or you have been only allowed to say very little. And then, or the judge, when you walked into a courtroom, you already knew that the judge had already made up their mind without having heard anything in your case. And so I know that all of you have experienced that. I have experienced that as an attorney. And if I have experienced that as an attorney, I know what it's like and how disempowering it feels to feel like you have no voice. I had no voice, so I know how that feels. And so I want to change that. That's why I'm running. That's not way to administrative law judge na. Okay, jone to tone no chito tao. Or tejanu the way ni jokutana, good no tao that tejani chicho pao na ya. They will always have to know that, okay, sir or ma'am, Did you understand what just happened? It's okay if you don't understand, you can ask me. And so usually, I'm so sorry. They always start with, I'm so sorry. When I ask them if they don't understand. They always say, I'm so sorry, I have a question. Or I'm so sorry, I did not understand. And you know what I tell them? I say, it's okay. You do not need to be sorry. I'm here to make sure that you understand why you're here. I'm here to make sure that you are able to tell me what you need to tell me, and you can tell me what is important to you. That is so important because like I said, I know what it's like to not have a voice in the courtroom. And so I do that already every day as an administrative law judge. And I want to be able to do that for everyone who comes into Fresno Superior Court, into any Superior Court. And so that is why I'm running, to give my community, not only the Hmong community, but the Fresno community and the community of California, the ability to have a voice when they're in court, to walk out of a courtroom and know that their voice mattered and that their voice was heard. Because that is important. Because I truly believe that in order to be a good judge, you must listen carefully. Only by listening carefully to what people have to tell you, can you apply the law fairly and treat it fairly and impartially. Because you are treating everyone who comes before you with respect. And that is why I feel that there are so many people or so many judges here who have forgotten that. Because they have forgotten that when you are a judge, you are serving the community. And so people forget that they need to look to the community and give the community the ability to speak. And so when I think back to where that came from, I think back to our history. Trustee Xiong Vang, we have the same story, right? And so why do I feel so passionate about the law? Because it goes back to the way we came to the United States. You remember that Trustee Xiong, our parents laid down their lives, gave blood, and died to defend the United States. They defended the laws of the United States. They defended the Constitution. Every day, we stood up in front of the flag and we recited the Pledge of Allegiance. The last words of the Pledge of Allegiance is, and justice for all. And so I do not take that responsibility lightly, the duty and the obligation to defend the U.S. Constitution. I truly believe in the U.S. Constitution and the laws of the United States and the laws of the state of California. So when I say the words justice for all, those are not just words that I merely recite. I know what it's like, and I know how it feels to have the fears and to feel the fears and the traumas of my parents, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, my brothers and sisters. And I know how profoundly those fears and traumas affect all of you sitting here tonight, affect me. And I know what it means, I understand what it means when we lose that. And right now we see that across the nation, people feel that they no longer have to follow the rule of law, that the laws no longer apply to them at the highest levels of government, that there are two sets of laws. There are sets of laws for people of color, right? And then people who don't look like us, who are not of color. And that's not how it should be here in the United States. That's not what we died defending. And so I will never be a soldier. I will never go off and to fight for freedom. I will never carry a gun and go off to war. But I can do something by defending the U.S. Constitution. And that is so important to me because that has allowed me today to stand in front of you, a Hmong woman, born to refugee parents, to run for judge. I would never be able to do that anywhere else. And so for me, that's what justice means, justice for all. It means the ability to stand before you and to run for judge, to be able to defend the Constitution, to defend the law for all of you, for everyone who is in Fresno, who is Hmong, and who is a resident of California. And that is my commitment to all of you, that I will always uphold the Constitution, I will always apply the law, and I will always act with impartiality and integrity. And people ask me why diversity matters. Why is it important for someone like me to be in a judge's seat and not my opponent? Why is it important for someone who is Hmong or who is a person of color? And I'll tell you why. We talk about diversity and we talk about diversity in very abstract ways, but for me it's very practical, because I have seen how, when there is no for diversity on the bench, how that affects us. And I know Kujan can attest to this too, because he's seen it, as an attorney, he's seen this as well. We have seen that judges have discretion under the law. And that is so important, the word discretion. Because we have seen that when we are in front of a judge who does not know our background, who does not know how we have lived, who does not know how we have struggled, people who are sitting on the bench who grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth. So when it could be you, or it could be a family member, a brother, a sister, an aunt, or uncle. And the judges have the discretion to always decide how much of a sentence to give. I know you all have seen where the judge has the discretion to decide if they are going to get the low term, the midterm, or the high term. So many people we bought the mission claim but more they jump blona, memo sana, a bot zazira, a meteja, Nikuchi, Deja Guya, but Deja Guya, go to Singje, go to Nu, go na, go e, lawyer go to go to Mola, go to Nuya. Memo sa a bot have lot and pelu zazina. Judge more jai. 雜誌係但期末學生學嘅學張張那學張張那學生咧又itu judge นะ女子包係但個路徑佢嘅嚟講，女子包係但個女仔個做嘅個學經佢女仔女子夢嘅啦。Yeah, the judge, if they don't see how you grew up, they don't consider what your background, your the differences that you have culturally, the way you grew up, the neighborhoods you lived in, your life story. They're always going to say this person gets the high term. Okay, got What you bao the balloon joint, watch the knob, watch the other, it's okay, watch the toya. The boy you always at that okay. Gu Jang Chi Tao Go, Gu Zazi, Hosha Shasu, Bomo Su Jai had the boy mo Hodron Jang, no her Hotu Jai to Lupo Yaneko, logo, the low term now. So they came to do the low term, the midterm, and people of color will always get, for the most part, will always get the high term. And I know you all know, I'm not going to say anything, but being bought the, being bought the, being the law, how many boo joy, be joy, Nazi mong, but much China, a chosi yan yang. That she ya, that you to hide learning hiding a chia mona, the Dishapotaluzi, okay, Yaviletan. Chocolata to Josh on Nichito, Nichipo, Bezuke, Nichipo Bekinku. And so that is why diversity matters. That is why people's lived experiences shape how they are going to be as a judge. And that's why people like me matter. That's why diversity matters. And so, so that brings me to, just really the reasons why, all of the reasons why I'm running for judge, because I want to be someone who is going to sit on that bench, who's going to represent the Hmong community. I want to be a judge who's going to represent the Fresno community. I want to represent people who grew up, who got, mothers who had children young. I want to be the person who represents those who are underserved, who never have a chance to be able to speak when they're in court. I want to be able to be the voice of the Hmong community. I want to be the voice of the person who comes into court and isn't allowed to speak. And that is why I'm running for judge. And so I thank you all for being here tonight. And again, I know that I'm far, and you all have donated already, but I'm asking you again, please dig deep and donate again if you can. And again, thank you so much for your support. Go halumong chi cho king te go ha chi tlai ha chi jong la me sa san len tang me jang chi ro go la go you the channel te go halumong chi cho king, but hopefully you all forgive me. I know that you all are my supporters. No me hale to no ta go to te le to me chi pa ko la no me shu la to jong no go jong sha he e o me cho cham khana. Thank you.